We can hear you and see you. Welcome. So Maud Stiernet is joining us from Belgium, where she is an accessibility and children's rights consultant. Maud began her career in tech before specializing in children's online rights, and more specifically, the rights of children with special needs, using assistive technology to participate and contribute in the online world. Passionate about children's rights, she is co-chair of the W3C Accessibility for Children community and is a member of the ICT Expert Committee for European Disability Forum. Thanks a lot for joining us. Now over to you, Maud.
Thanks a lot. Thank you for having me here online, and I could follow the whole week, so that was really perfect from afar, but I was there the whole week. And thank you for taking such good care of us as online delegates as well. I don't need to do an introduction about my experience, so I will flow into the topic as such. So I'm going to show you the links between children with specific needs, age assurance standards, and accessibility, which is my field. You'll see there will be a bit of talking about artificial intelligence as well. I will start with children's words, their inclusive needs, then we'll go through legal frameworks and some relevant contributions our W3C group did for the field. And then we will continue the discussion and respond to the following questions together. How do we monitor and measure effectiveness for children with specific needs? How do we ensure children with specific needs and their inclusion and involvement in age-appropriate standards, but age assurance user experience as well? And then how do we combine age-appropriate standards and user-centric approaches for better results? You will notice I already started to collect some answers in my presentations, but I would like to have your thoughts as well on this. Then children's words are important to me in my work and also in terms of participation. So I'd like to bring in their thoughts, well, some of their thoughts to give you a little bit of perspective to add to the diversity of ideas in the discussion on age assurance. The first one, you know, I'm 7, but my scores say I'm older in my brain and I feel younger than my age in my body. So you see this highlights the need of for flexibility in age ranges and developmental stages. Another one, I make friends online, but something I'm younger, but now system can change my age. So my online friends know I can play with them and they're happy when I can make funny voices and make them laugh. So this is also a positive effect that can age verification can bring in. If I receive the best explanation in child-friendly language, but it is not in sign language, I'm not sure I will understand it. So this one highlights the importance of accessibility as such. When we created the W3C group on accessibility for children, we connected experts from different fields who joined us, from user experience, universal design experts, policy makers, etc. And one important message we had from the beginning is accessibility has been first designed for adults, and we should do more to adapt it to children and make it age appropriate and literacy relevant for children. So with our group, we started from the idea that users are actually invisible on the web. The question of age is crucial. but there are other relevant topics like what are the needs, the interests, the vulnerabilities, the options and the choices offered. This in order to provide protection, respond to the needs and design and monitor accordingly. So I wanted to focus on a study done on age assurance technologies in different contexts in the UK, including foster care and out-of-home children. The analysis gathered views on age assurance methods and also possible reasons for exclusion. And the conclusions from the study showed that a layered approach would be better with a combination of methods, including AI, behavioral, and biometric data, because it would require less parental involvement and when parental authority isn't clearly defined and so on. In my view, there are also elements we need to further investigate, like the AI system incorporating these various layers or methods in age assurance. What is its impact as a whole if we take the whole scope and the possibilities and the risk of all the methods? What are the differences from systems that take separated methods? And it would also be relevant to consider sandboxing exercises, including accessibility. Then the study also summarized 5 themes in relation to inclusion, and I just want to draw attention on the fact that 2 themes of the list could be improved if accessibility was fully taken into consideration. The authors of the study mentioned they had to explain the features to the to some children, and in a way they would better understand it and that it would be better adapted to their needs. So topics that are too complex to understand are discrimination based on developmental capacities. These are topics like 3 and 4 topics in the list that well implemented accessibility would really help solve. There are also specific risks related to children with specific needs relevant in the context of age assurance. We talked a lot this week about privacy, but here in the context of disability, there is the unintended disability disclosure, and even the child can be unaware of his disability. So it's very important to take that into account. There's of course the lack of accessibility and inclusion in research. The risk also of being considered as an adult with disability because there are no support systems for a child. And we know this happens already in reality. Children with disabilities are in psychiatric wards with adults with disabilities. So it already happens in the real world. So these are some examples. The list is of course not complete, but I think it's important also to consider all the risks when using AI systems and also in order to mitigate them. Then one of the issues we are also trying to solve is around the understanding of accessibility. This is really an important one because the concept of accessibility is still understood many ways and very often still as children have a connection to the web, children have access in terms of permission of consultation, but it's more than that. It's about contribution. It's about participation in the web. So it's really larger and multi-dimensional. Accessibility is part of the support tools, but it's also a prerequisite. So to even implement accessible tools and have children with specific needs involved in design, legislation, impact studies, there are several ways accessibility is needed. And just to specify a little bit, the laws and the standards on accessibility, they are all referenced on, I took the two websites of the United Nations and the W3C. These two websites where you can have updated links to the latest laws around the world. Just important to know that these laws are also valid for artificial intelligence. Just also on the web content accessibility guidelines on accessibility are also available and in different ways with quick reference guides made by the Web Accessibility Initiative, and also in different formats like a map by Intopia that you have here partly on the screen. And then after the laws, you also have the standards we discussed this week, and standards in EU legislation that we heard yesterday have a little bit of a stronger status when they are harmonized, a status as a way of implementing law, and they are published in the official journal of the European Union. Well, you know what? The first ones of the list are the ones on accessibility, so I guess we have no excuse there. I just want to highlight some contributions also we did with our group on accessibility for children, just to show that why accessibility is for children is really different from adults. The first one is on the specific needs, or what is sometimes called also the functional needs, sorry. And these are the characteristic a user brings with them to any user experience. It's like with limited color perception, use with limited attention, or use with without hearing. But these change really rapidly. Adults might have a tactile solution for a long time, they can use, and that is sustainable, but children might need different tools when they grow up. And these functional needs are also very much combined in children, more than adults. So it's important to identify them. We try to, with a table, identify as many as possible and identify solution for these. But it's important to know that combinations are very much possible. Common solutions also that work for adults will not always work well for children. So like captions do not work with children with lower literacy, and you would actually be surprised the number of contexts children are still expected to read captions when they can't. Then for all children, social considerations are important, but sometimes adjustments or accommodations for adults include being separated from the group. This is rarely advisable for children. Children also have less awareness and ability to express their needs, where adults might be able to select what is beneficial to them from a list, for example, a checklist. Children won't always. There are really differences between children and adults with specific needs online. And well, these were a few to introduce you to our work, but you can always contact me if you want more information on those. We classified also with our group research gaps that we have, for example, what is important for age assurance. And it's also mentioned by other professionals like here, Jona Welker, that children with autism will have two devices or two interfaces, one for the child and one for the parent. We did with our group a table to classify a little bit the research gaps that we had. The first one was on statistics, analytics, and guidelines, that we are lacking information about age ranges as well that would work better for children with disabilities. Then there is a column on co-design to more adapt to children's needs and different assistive technologies. And the feedback column, because children like to evaluate tools and give their feedback, and there we need avatar assistance and monitoring tools. And then I think one other element that we did together that can really that might really help here also is we selected a list of key performance indicators, and when they are reached, we think there is a high probability the need of children with specific needs are better met. We spoke about social development already, but awareness assessments are also important. It might help for all children, but for children with specific needs, it's really important to know what, why, and what and why the child needs to know something. We have to ask these questions as well. And then assistive technology literacy is also important because children's learning curves do not always follow the same path and rhythms as adults. So I think this is also an important point. And also that the technology is transposable in different contexts of a child's life. We talked about gaming, schools. Assistive technology needs to follow in those fields. Then I am just going to show you a W3C use case that was done by the Web Accessibility Initiative. And they published a series of user stories. And here's one dedicated to Preeti. It's a middle school student. And our group helped actually review the stories. And here on the page, you have all the tools and technique Preeti uses at school with her attention deficit. And well, we gave the nomination dyslexia, but here you have the different tools and technique she uses as it's of course a persona to give many more possibilities to the stories and give you more techniques here. But so it's important to have the kind of opportunities and choices she can make. We did also participate on Senelec workshop agreement on age-appropriate digital services framework. And we gave a clarification on accessibility guidelines and how to implement them. And in the future, we will continue to check other, of course, open source initiatives at IEEE, for instance, on ethically driven robotics, where we really check asked for clarification on the term accessibility and see how the term can be used with age in an age-appropriate way. I have a little summary of what we discussed a little bit here, but I don't know if there are questions at the moment. I thought we could now add your IDs. Feel free to make suggestions. Let me know how you would work on these topics. I also added some references at the end of the PowerPoint that will be shared. And you can always contact me if you want any more information about the topic, of course. So what I will do maybe is share the summary again, if you want to. But feel free to comment if you have any questions. But I'll just summarize a little bit what I have already wrote to the
Maybe
conference.
can you tell us, is anybody in the W3C structure monitoring the extent to which any or all of the recommendations in this very comprehensive piece of work that you've just presented are in fact being observed or honoured in practice? Or is it, I mean, I can see the theoretical basis behind all of the stuff that you've presented here, but do you know whether or to what extent people are honouring or observing or complying with the points that are being made here?
Yeah, so I mean, there's accessibility standards, and standards, the web accessibility guidelines are reviewed. So there are recommendations and different versions. So every time there are recommendations, like in for the version that is now being worked on, 3.0, there we are always adding elements for review for this these worldwide guidelines. So and these guidelines are applicable. There are certifications involved. So here, what I explained is a lot about the work we are doing to at first really to get these guidelines updated and having more use cases on children, that it's more integrated. And as you saw, we do have now. And also we need to have these guidelines more visible in other standards, because usually when new standards are created, we see that the accessibility guidelines are not always referred to, and that we think there would be a need for some kind of list of standards that are referred to, that would help like all users, because well, when we enter into contact with organizations, it's and we say add accessibility to the list, everyone is very willing to do so, of course. But it's always having to refresh, you know, the accessibility, giving the links to the latest standards, and etc.
Okay, thanks very much indeed. Does anybody in the room or online have a question? There's nothing from online and nothing from in the room. No, well, I must say I'm absolutely astonished at the breadth and depth of the work that's obviously got into preparing these things. I think that these are incredibly useful docket, and I was completely unaware that even the W3C was even doing work in this space. So we must make sure this is much more widely known and promoted.
We are actually quite new because we started during COVID as a group, seeing that children were having to be schooled at home and online, and the difficulties children had with accessibility. So we started then. And so our group does voluntary work. So yeah, it's really great that we could talk here to just and feel free to ask for information about what we are doing, or if we can help. Also, we don't promote only our work in accessibility, because it's important that we support each other in accessibility. I think the field is small. It's important that we support each other.
Well, your presentation will be made available to everybody who's attended the conference, and I think it will in effect become go on the website, so it'll become publicly viewable and so on. So thank you very much indeed for sparing some time to talk to us this morning, both here in the room and online. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.